Episode 74. This one's gonna cause some fallout. Bem Vindos, and welcome to my channel. While I haven't actually played the video game, one of my favorite shows is Fallout. My wife and I have just become big fans. She doesn't care too much for the bugs. While searching for some cool terrain for my Gaslands games, I found some files dedicated to Fallout lore. They were shipping containers for the different companies in the game, including Nuka-Cola. With the files downloaded, I started printing and painting up some right away. While working on those, I was inspired to create some Fallout-themed wasteland beasts. After grabbing the 47 Chevy Fleet line and the 62 Corvette Gasser from the Hot Wheels line, I tracked down some retro-looking weapons on myminifactory.com. After the printing, priming, and prepping was done, it was time to crack open a Sunset Sarsaparilla and get some painting done. My wife and I have thoroughly enjoyed the 2 seasons of Fallout and are eagerly waiting for some more. While I'm curious about the video game, I honestly don't have that kind of time on my hands, so I'm good with the series. Thanks. I recently did a vehicle for GearGrinder Magazine, which will be given away as a prize in their current painting contest. You should check out the video here and find all the issues of GearGrinder over at drivethrurpg.com. The painting contest is based on the new sponsor from the first issue, Rust Saints. If you haven't yet checked out GearGrinder Magazine, head on over to drivethrurpg.com and pick yourself up a copy. Each issue is packed with new scenarios, new sponsors, homemade terrain, and everything you need to kick your game into a higher gear. I really do like the lines and curves of these older cars, the Fleet line especially. As soon as I saw the cast, I knew what it was going to look like. Wasn't 100% sold on the Corvette, as the style was 15 years later, but I knew I wanted something iconic and high profile for the coupe. Thankfully, the more I painted, the more I felt like they were close enough in style, despite not being from the same decade. While on myminifactory.com, I found just the right bits thanks to Creepy Hero Studios and their Martian weapons set. I'd almost guarantee, if you have an idea for a unique vehicle, Creepy Hero should have what you're looking for in their 500 plus file store. I've talked a lot about grief on this channel. I've seen more than my share of friends and family leave me too soon. When I returned to the US in 2019, my first employment was at a local grocery store. Everyone who was there seemed happy, friendly, and actually wanted to be there. Now in retail, that atmosphere is hard to come by, as wages and Karens tend to ruin a perfectly good workday. One of the first people that I met was Chris, who was one of the main cashiers. During the course of my first shift, the conversation with him quickly turned to Magic the Gathering, and Chris declared, "You and I are going to get together and play." And that was that. The occasional Magic the Gathering night turned into a regularly scheduled Dungeons & Dragons night in a very short time, and continued for another 6 years. No matter what side of the DM screen Chris was on, none of us would have a clue as to what he had in store for the game. Now, his ability to play Magic the Gathering was impressive. He was very much like a grandmaster at chess, always thinking about 3 turns ahead of the rest of us. His ability to take a pre-constructed Magic deck, played for the first time, and dominate the board was amazing to watch, but I'll save that story for another episode. Our Chris was a power gamer, the wizard who always went first. But last week, my friend passed away in his sleep, completely unexpectedly. Something that should have happened in his 90s and not his 30s. I'm going to miss your shotgun laugh, your quick draw jabs, and your stubbornness. I'm going to miss you, brother. In the end of May, Humboldt County will host the Forest Moon Festival, celebrating all things Star Wars. Why would my little hometown be hosting a Star Wars event, you say? Because we're just that cool. In actuality, our beautiful redwood forests have been the backdrop for the 1983 blockbuster Return of the Jedi. Yep, those trees on the Forest Moon of Endor that were blown to smithereens were our trees. My friend Mike at All Day Comics asked me to help out at his booth at the Forest Moon Festival, and of course I said I would. So, come by the booth, browse the merch, and ask him about his lame claim to fame. So, what does Star Wars have to do with Gaslands or Fallout? Absolutely nothing. Which is why I will only be helping at the booth and not planning to bring any customs for sale. I'll still be showing off and talking up my channel, so make sure you come by and say hi. As you can probably tell, I'm a few episodes behind the work in progress posts that I keep sharing on the social medias. This project was no exception, and while the Corvette is still for sale on Etsy, the fleet line was purchased at the Shasta Gaming Festival back in April. I do plan to correct the backlog, but more on that later. I want to create more Fallout-inspired vehicles in the future, but if you're in the mood for a custom, message me on Etsy. Now, the fleet line was my most meaningful transaction of the whole entire festival weekend, and that may sound strange, but allow me to elaborate. As I had explained to my son and our friend that weekend, I was not just there to sell stuff. I was selling me. My work, my projects, my channel, me. Which is why I felt immense pride in every compliment, despite my external verbal argument to the opposite. But I also felt immense pain with every rejection. Now, you can't tell, but rejection is in quotes. No one, and I do mean no one, came up to me, trashed my work, insulted me, made any rude or demeaning comments at all whatsoever. Those things I only ever heard in my head, with each polite smile as they moved along, not interested in what I was doing. Oh, I know that's messed up, but that's how I've been wired from the beginning. Too shy to take the first step, and internally crushed by every other person who didn't either. The festival weekend had a bunch of highs and lows, but as I said before, the fleet line stands out. I had many people show genuine interest in my work, including the game itself, but didn't want to pick up a vehicle or were inspired to create one of their own, which is the entire purpose of this channel. Inspiration. Some listened to my pitch, let me geek out about Gaslands, sort of understood the context of the game, and offered me one last compliment before continuing along the walkway.
Oh, that's neat!
One customer told me more than a few times that she had appreciated the work I had done. So much so that she decided to buy the fleet line, not to someday use it in a game or pass it along to a younger member of her family, but just because she liked looking at it. When you are not selling items and selling yourself, this is everything. I see people buying my work as primarily interested in the game, the function of a piece, and then secondarily interested in the creation behind it. And this was not the case with the fleet line. This was 100% creative purchase. Some may see repurposed toys. This customer saw art, and I cannot be prouder of that sale. In local news, I'm glad to say Dandar's Board Games and Books is open for business in limited fashion. They are located in the Jacoby Storehouse, right in the heart of downtown Arcata, California. Dandar's is offering as much of their usual wares as possible for the space they're in, but don't worry, they're almost ready to open the doors on their new forever home right around the corner. I've spoken to Dan, the owner, and he is eager to get a Gaslands series going, so stay tuned for some carnage from behind the redwood curtain. After all the bits were ready, it was time to add some rusting and weathering suitable for the wasteland. I wanted to balance the weathering enough so that it was a Gaslands contender, but not so much that it would no longer be recognizable as from being from Fallout. Well, with the finishing touches done, these two were ready for their debut at the Shasta County Gamer Festival. I give you Coop's Coop and House's Hunter. While the Hunter is no longer available, you can find Coop's Coop on the showroom floor of my Etsy store. Drop in and take a look, as I'm adding new models all the time, and not just for Gaslands. As I mentioned before, I am a few episodes behind my work in progress posts that are seen on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, so I'm going to start posting a new YouTube content every week. I've been hesitant in posting a new video each week as I didn't have enough content. But my recent file transfer told me something to the contrary, so every week it is. With all that in mind, I am asking you for something so amazing that it would make the world a better place. For me.
And now you can be a hero too.
My current analytics is telling me that many of my viewers are not yet subscribed. If you haven't yet, slap that subscribe button so you won't miss the next weekly episode. Did I mention weekly? This would make you a true hero in the multiverse. Well, at least my part of the universe. And as you mark your calendar for the Forest Moon Festival at the end of May, don't forget, they ain't gonna paint themselves.